Irish citizens are being pushed out of Dublin due to an immigration explosion, which has been encouraged by the government of that country. Right now, 40% of hotel rooms in the Republic of Ireland are taken up by migrants, and there are now a huge number of people living with their parents, 410,000 young people who can now not get a home in Dublin because those homes have been instead allocated to illegal immigrants. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe, but more importantly, donate to the Patriot Fund. It's coming to the end of the month and we are going to be giving you a full update on where the money was spent in the next couple of days. I mean, when I look at the statistics for what is taking place in the Irish Republic, it's unbelievable. We've got all sorts. We've got the number of people who can no longer get a home because of the housing crisis that's been created by migrants. The fact that hotel rooms are now almost half of them, well, 40%, are now taken up by illegal immigrants across the country. It's like Britain, only turbocharged. Now, of course, the population, the number of migrants that have come to Ireland in the past year is 150,000. Now, you've got to bear in mind, Ireland's only got a population of about 5 million or something. So these are simply colossal numbers. The way that Ireland is changing is simply unbelievable. At this rate, it will cease to be Irish relatively soon. But it's amazing the way that all of these countries with political correct leadership are so obsessed with continuing this uncontrolled immigration. When you look at what's going on, I think it's genuinely shameful. What about this? Average house prices have increased 10% this year. Some communities report feeling unsafe and overwhelmed, especially areas where the number of migrants and asylum seekers is high. Okay, there are significant backlogs in asylum applications. At the end of 2023, 22,000 were in the backlog, and that is an increase of 90%. Over 2,000 people arrived illegally in 2024, 156% increase from the previous year. The government has announced some plans for deportation flights, but we can believe that's not happening. Now, of course, the other problem with the Republic of Ireland is there is an open border between the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland. It's something called the Common Travel Area and has existed ever since the Irish Republic was independent. So if you make it to Ireland, you can get into England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. I've no problem with that. But the problem is, what we have to do is we have to ask both. The Common Travel Area relies on both the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland to be dependable when it came to borders. And they're not dependable, are they? Now, let me ask you a question. When you go on holiday to, say, Cyprus, right, you land at Larnaca Airport. What the process is that you give your passport and they decide whether to admit you and give you a stamp or whatever. Okay. If that system were to be the system we were operating in the Channel or the Irish Republic's operating, what you would do is this. You would say at Larnaca Airport, right, everybody just go through. What we're going to do is we're going to visit you in 6 months' time to decide whether we should have let you in or not. And then you will sue us to say that you want to stay anyway. There are no border controls. The concept of a border is not to simply allow everybody in. If you look at the border guards of the United Kingdom, this idea that what they will do is they will assist you in penetrating the country. That is to say that the Border Force and indeed the Royal Navy and indeed the lifeboats will go out into the Channel, find illegal migrants and bring them to the United Kingdom. So actually, we are the people smugglers. But if you're worried about England, as I say, in the Republic of Ireland, it is far, far worse. And Ireland no longer feels Irish for many people. There are the increasing no-go areas where, it's not no-go areas, maybe that's a little bit unfair, where policing is done differently. We've talked before on this channel about tribal areas. So what's happened is there's not been mass migration into every single part of the UK. There's been mass migration into certain areas. So as an example, Birmingham is 30% Muslim, 60 or 70% of social housing in London goes to people who are not born in the United Kingdom. And so we have these tribal areas which are policed in a different way from the rest of the United Kingdom. That is in order to placate people who say, well, hang on a second, we are foreigners to this country. We don't want to be policed in the way that regular British people are policed. I can understand why they feel like that. But What are we going to do about this? And I think it really is time to start saying that, the war is over, it's time to go home. I don't think it's unreasonable to an asylum seeker, both in the United Kingdom or indeed in Ireland, to say to them, look, if you are fleeing a war or conflict, do not, when it's over, you need to leave. Now, let me give you the example of Sudan, which is not alone. Okay? So, when Sudan had all of its problems recently, the United Kingdom sent some military forces in to evacuate British nationals. All of those British nationals evacuated were Sudanese born. They were people who said that Sudan was too dangerous for them to go to, so they came to the United Kingdom. When they got a passport, they then immediately went back to Sudan, either on holiday or some of them to live, whilst obviously being able to claim benefits in the United Kingdom. Now, here is a shocking fact, and this is true in both the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland, because this video is about the Republic of Ireland. Okay? 66%, 2 out of 3 people who claim political asylum, refugee status in Britain or Ireland go on holiday to the country they were escaping within 18 months of getting the passport. Boom. Can you believe that? Somebody's saying that if they remain in Sudan, they will be killed. That's why they have to come to Britain. And when they get the British passport, they go on holiday to Sudan. 2 out of 3 go on holiday to Sudan. What does that tell you about them being genuine refugees? They're not refugees. They're not even economic migrants. They are benefits, tourists. They are people who want to find the best welfare scheme in the world. Now, I'm going to say this to the Republic of Ireland and to the United Kingdom. I think you can have two things. You can have one or other, but not both of the following things. You can either have an NHS and a benefit system, or you can have an uncontrolled immigration system. You can't have both. The reason is because if you have benefits that are universal, and if you have healthcare that is universal, and then you say anyone who wants to come to the country can come to the country, then inevitably you're going to end up in the situation that the Republic of Ireland's in, whereby you end up with just people coming in left, right and centre. Well, of course, what you do, or one of the things that you could do to prevent the uncontrolled immigration being a problem, is to get rid of your benefit system and get rid of the NHS. But you can't have all of these things simultaneously. And that's the problem now. And I want to say one final thing. And it was a point that was made in Kent, and it's now being made in Dublin. Young people in Kent and young people in Dublin don't have access to services that their parents had access to. They are unlikely to be able to afford a house. Equally, Kent has said that it's going to have to start turning away British children from its schools in favour of bogus asylum seeker children. That is something which I think is simply extraordinary and really, really is quite wrong. We shouldn't be allowing that to happen. Dublin has effectively fallen. Now, we're going to have to start deporting people to get it back, but as it stands, it is in a very vulnerable state. And as I say, 410,000 Irish-born young people are not able to get homes. They're effectively homeless as a result of the uncontrolled immigration that has come in at about 100,000 a year. So what are we going to do about it? Well, as I say, it's time to start kicking out those people who are bogus asylum seekers, and also do something which I think is eminently sensible, which is to say that a work visa no longer leads to a passport, and once the work's finished, you go home. Okay, just a quick word about the Patriot Fund. We are funding right-wing projects across the country. We funded the tracking down the Gloucester perv, a migrant who was touching up women in Gloucester. We've given a name and address to the police. They've not told us if it's actually him, but fingers crossed, we've made the streets ever so slightly safer. If you want to donate, the link is below. And when you donate, you give me your email address, so I'll add you to that mailing list, which gives you the monthly update on everything that we've done. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, goodbye.